Hi, it's Lou Theodore and this is day 7 of 100 videos in 100 days. And today I thought I would share with you a sneak peek at a project that's very much in its infancy. And the reason to share it is actually because it is right in its infancy, and I want to not just talk about the project but how it's come about. So the catalyst for it was 2 years ago. I was an artist in residence for Brighton and Hove buses. So that meant for a month I travelled on all their bus routes all across the city, and the brief was to draw passengers travelling. I drew and painted the passengers travelling. The bus company posted those images up on their social media, and then if you spotted yourself on the bus in one of the images, you could win some free travel. So it was a really fun project. And actually, let me show you some images so that you kind of get a better idea of what I'm talking about. So obviously all drawn on the bus. Quite a challenging environment. You don't know how long people are going to be on the bus for, so obviously some of the drawings are more detailed than others, and that's because people didn't stay on very long. And sometimes I could complete all the watercolouring on the bus, sometimes I couldn't, sometimes I had to do a bit afterwards. But that gives you, oh yeah, pets were included too. But that gives you a bit of an idea of what the images are. So that was great, and I really enjoyed doing it. But a spin-off from that was the conversations that I had with people while I was doing it. So obviously, if you're getting drawn and you're getting painted, quite often people were really intrigued to see their images. But there were a whole lot of other people as well who were just intrigued by the act of seeing somebody draw on a bus, and would talk about how they used to like drawing as a child, or how they'd like to take it up again, or would just tell me their life stories or funny stories. And all those conversations showed me really, I mean, how many lonely people there are, how much people really want to be seen and heard and don't feel seen and heard, and also what amazing lives we all have. It's so easy to discount the kind of amazing stories we have, just the journey of our lives and how they're all absolutely unique. So all of that kind of melded together, and the stories that I've heard 2 years ago now have never really left me. So usually when I'd finish a project, I would archive the artwork. Sounds posher than it is, but essentially gets put away safely. But I've never done that with this, and that's because it was never concluded. There was a bit of it that still wants to be concluded. So I have started working on it today, and I'm basically going through the process of writing up and editing and fleshing out some of the stories that I heard and matching them with the images, and I am going to do some sort of book with them. Why share it at this stage? Because I mean this is literally the very start, because I've learnt something recently and I thought it might be helpful to share. And brace yourself, because it may sound a bit woo-woo, but it's about the importance of speaking things into form. It's about the importance of not keeping this inspiration just locked in your head, but somehow speaking it out loud and then giving it permission to live, giving yourself permission to do something with it, to create something with it. And I don't think it matters how you speak it, really, whether you tell somebody else about it, whether you blog about it, whether you write about it, but there is something that happens in that moment of almost taking it out of your head and bringing it into the present that makes the magic happen, makes it more real, makes it more likely that something is going to happen with that little spark of inspiration. And of course, you can't just talk about it endlessly. And I guess we've all been guilty of that at some point or another, talking endlessly about an idea and not actually taking any action on it. But somehow, in the talking about this, so I've had this in my head for a good 2 years. I have only very recently started talking out loud to someone about it. And because I've spoken out loud of it, it seemed like a real thing. And I found it much easier than to take action on it. It seems like a real thing. And I thought that just might be useful. That kind of speaking into form. I can't say, I mean, this is just my experience of it. But there's been something really powerful about it for me, getting it out of my head and getting it into the now. And once it's in the now, things can happen. While it's locked in my head, it just stays in the head. And the other thing I wanted to say was, I don't know where this project is going. Again, this is quite a recent thing for me. And for years, I needed to see the final outcome before I made any start. So I needed to see what it was going to look like as a book, how it was going to get to be a book, whether there was a market for it, all of that. I mean, everything. And what I've realised is actually I can't see that. You just can't, when you're living from that sense of possibility, you can't see what's going to happen. All you can do is take the next step. So the next step for me is getting it out of my head. I've talked about it, I've brought it into form, and now I'm matching up the images with the stories. That's the next step. That is as far as I can see right now. I don't know what happens next, but I don't need to know what happens next. I just need to do the next step. And when I've finished the next step, do you know what? The step after that appears. It does appear. It just comes in the form of an idea. You think, okay, yeah, all right, I'll try that. And not all next steps work, but you try them, doesn't work. Okay, so that's not the right route. Another idea pops up and you try that. So do you know, I had absolutely no idea I was going to talk about all of this today. Bring the stuff into form and next steps. Wow. There you go. You see, this is what happens when you commit to making a video every day. Things pop up that you don't realise. So I hope that was helpful. I absolutely love the conversations that spin out of these videos. Just other people's experiences. You may experience this completely differently, and that's cool and that's great too. I'm no guru. I'm just sharing what I'm sharing. So do leave a comment if it works that way for you, if it doesn't work that way for you, if it's been helpful, if it's been unhelpful. Leave a comment. That's great. And this is day 7. So I will see you on day 8.